Good afternoon, good morning, seventh graders. Let's take a look at Chapter 14, Section 2 today, which is titled Life in the North. The previous lesson was called Industry in the North. That talked about factories and about living conditions in large cities. Now we're going to talk about life in the North from 1820 to 1860. Just a couple of reminders that your vocab words are on your Quizlet page, and they're also linked to Schoology along with this video lecture, this mini lecture. And there's also going to be a couple of important videos that supplement what we're learning today about life in the North. 14.2, life in the North. We've got our vocab words at the top here. Artisan is a skilled worker who has learned a trade such as carpentry, usually under the expertise of a master craftsman. You work as an artisan, you're learning under someone who really knows what they're doing. Trade union is an organized group of skilled workers trying to improve pay and working conditions. Strike is a refusal of union workers to work. An immigrant is a person, we've seen this definition before, an immigrant is a person who comes to a country to take up permanent residence there. And discrimination is a policy or attitude that denies equal rights to a group of people. Discrimination can come in many forms. And when we talk about discrimination in the North during this period, we're going to be largely talking about discrimination towards people who are immigrants coming to America and competing for jobs in the North with native-born American citizens between 1820 and 1860. Let's take just a quick moment to remind you again that these vocab words can be found on Quizlet 14.2, and they are also linked on the Schoology link along with this tutorial video. As we press forward, by the 1840s, follow along, the number of factories in the North had grown. Now, more laborers worked longer hours for lower wages. We said that conditions in the factories, in the early factories, weren't the best, with one town, Lowell, Massachusetts, really being the exception. But as the 1840s came around, factories were unhealthy places to work. In the summer, they were very hot, and in winter, they were very cold. Factory machines had no safety devices, and accidents were common. There were very few precautions taken by mill and factory owners that factored in the safety considerations for workers. Okay, many workers also lived in rundown houses near the factories. Okay, low wages and poor working conditions led workers to join together. As we saw in the video in an earlier lesson when we saw the story of the mill girl in Lowell, workers began organizing to join together. And the first people to do this were artisans. Artisans were workers who had a special skill. The definition used carpentry as an example, certainly not the only example, but an artisan would be someone who had a special skill, maybe working with wood. An artisan, a contractor today might be considered a plumber, a heating, ventilation, and air conditioning worker. Artisans in this period of time were typically carpenters or maybe blacksmiths or someone who had a special skill. These people began to form trade unions. And in the 1820s and in the 1830s, eventually going on strike, refusing to work, workers tried to make factory owners improve working conditions. Working conditions were one of the problems that organized labor was trying to fix. They also were looking to shorten the workday, and they were also looking to increase their hourly wage. Okay, many of the workers in factories were immigrants from Europe. About 4 million immigrants arrived in the 1840s and the 1850s, many of them coming from Ireland and Germany. Immigrants brought their own traditions to the United States, making American culture very richer. Okay, some people, however, did not welcome immigrants. And as we mentioned during the vocab at the top of the page, many Americans did not welcome immigrants because they were now competing with immigrants for a lot of the same jobs in northern factories. They blamed immigrants for the problems of the country. One group who called themselves nativists wanted to preserve the country for native-born white citizens. Okay, the nativists formed a political party called the Know Nothing Party. Yes, that is correct. They were called the Know Nothing Party. We'll talk about that in class as to why they were called that. In 1856, the party would win 21% of the vote. We're going to see more information on that in the chart in a moment. Thousands of free African Americans lived in the North. A lot of these people would be people who would come north after maybe being freed from slavery or escaping from slavery, but thousands of free blacks lived in the North. Slavery was against the law in the northern states. However, free African Americans still faced discrimination. They still faced policies or attitudes that denied them equal rights. Even skilled African Americans had troubles finding good jobs in the North. Despite these difficulties, however, many African Americans were able to achieve success. Look at our diagram here our chart on immigration. You've got, as you see here in the middle, you've got the immigration with kind of an arrow pointing down toward the effects. But before the effects, we're looking at the cause and effect relationship related to immigration. Now, with immigration, causes of people coming to the United States, there were famines that developed in Ireland. I'm posting a video on the Schoology page related to a potato famine that is going to lead many, many people to come to the United States for opportunities in the 1840s. There were also revolutions erupting in Germany that are going to cause a large number of Germans to come to the United States. And the number of factory jobs in the United States are going to grow exponentially in the 1820s, 30s, and 40s. These are all causes of immigration, causes of people coming to the United States. And some of the effects, the results of that immigration, you're going to see American industry in the North especially continue to grow. You're going to see immigrant traditions become part of American cultures. These people who are coming from Ireland, these people who are coming from Germany, these people who are coming from Europe, they're not only coming with the clothes on their back and with the and with their to work on jobs, but they're bringing their traditions and they're bringing their beliefs. And in many, many ways, these traditions and beliefs would make America a much better and a much richer place. Also, an effect of immigration or an effect of large-scale European immigration, some Americans would want to limit immigration, largely because many Americans did not want to have to compete with immigrants from Europe for northern factory jobs. Taking a look at our two questions here that you'll need to respond to, and you can answer these questions on a separate sheet of paper or on a Google Doc. Please answer question 1. Why did Northern workers begin to form unions? What were they hoping to obtain by organizing into unions? You'll see that covered in the reading. And related to the chart, what was one cause and one effect of immigration? You can answer question 2 directly looking at the chart on immigration. Before we part company here on this mini lecture, be sure to view the videos on your Schoology page, linked to 14 section 2, and also be sure to practice your vocab words, which I've linked there as well related to this section. There are 7 vocab words for section 14.2. Please familiarize yourself with each and every one of those vocab terms.